Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating framework that's going to totally change how you view human performance, stress, and honestly, your own internal biology. If you've ever felt just completely drained by high-stakes situations and kind of wondered how to actually reach a sustainable state of peak performance without burning out, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to dive deep into the IAM method, specifically focusing on how to explain the emotional scale of the IAM method. It's essentially a map, right? A journey from being stuck in reactive survival mode to what this method calls regulated self-operation.
So let's start with a bit of a reality check. Have you ever faced a massive deadline, a huge presentation, or some critical negotiation, and decided your best strategy was just to push harder? I mean, we've all been there, but what usually happens? Boom, total system crash. We get completely hijacked by doubt, frustration, and just absolute overwhelm. Why is it that forcing results almost always leads to burnout? Why does our own internal machinery seem to literally turn against us right when we need it the absolute most? Well, to answer that, the IAM method introduces this really brilliant metaphor. It basically asks us to look at ourselves like a computer. You have a human operating system. First, there's your biological hardware. This is your universal human biology, your brain, your nervous system, and amazingly, the independent neural network in your heart, which actually contains 40,000 specialized sensory neurites. That's a real thing. Then, on top of that, there's your psychological software. This is how you actually run that hardware. So the reason we crash isn't because our hardware is broken, not at all. It's because we're running faulty, outdated software that just totally crashes under pressure. Okay, let's dive into this and map it all out step by step. We're going to cover 1. The human operating system, 2. The unified emotional spiral, 3. The downward spiral, 4. The gratitude bridge, 5. The upward spiral, and finally 6. Becoming the operator. Section 1. The human operating system, hardware versus software. So upgrading your performance? It's really just about upgrading your internal software. Now, obviously, you can't replace your nervous system. That is your hardwired biology. You're stuck with that. But you absolutely can replace the perceptual codes and regulatory circuits you use to operate it. The IAM method provides this new software through specific archetypes and biological tools. When you upgrade the software, you can run your hardware efficiently, entirely without the friction of force, pressure, or that sort of desperate grasping energy that honestly just repels success anyway. This leads us to a massive paradigm shift. In the IAM method, emotions are not moral judgments. They are simply biological indicators of your nervous system's current state of coherence or dysregulation. Just think about how liberating that is for a second. There are literally no bad emotions. Feeling fear or doubt doesn't mean you're failing morally or lacking character. It simply means your biology is currently signaling a state of contraction. It's just dashboard data. It's the check engine light, not a character flaw. Section 2. The unified emotional spiral, mapping internal states. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the method organizes every human feeling you could possibly have. Notice how it's not some scattered random chart. It is one single continuous spiral. All human feelings map along this exact path of regulation, showing precisely where your nervous system is positioned at any given moment. And importantly, while there's only one spiral, there are 2 distinct directions you can travel. You're either ascending into high performance and flow, what the method calls HPF, indicating biological expansion, or you're descending into low performance and emotional drain, LNF, indicating biological contraction. Basically, you're always moving either toward coherence or toward chaos. There's no standing still. Section 3, the downward spiral, low performance and drain. So what happens when we start descending? Well, it usually begins really subtly. Maybe it's just a little boredom or a bit of mild pessimism. But as your frequency drops, you hit frustration and that all too familiar sense of overwhelm. If you don't catch it right there, the descent just accelerates into doubt, worry, blame, and anger. And at the very bottom of this spiral lies fear, grief, and total powerlessness. In these lower states, your personal agency completely collapses. This is where your inner judge, that past-trained ego trying to keep you safe by predicting failure, just completely takes over the steering wheel. To understand why we get stuck down there in the mud, the IAM method uses 2 really helpful concepts, the hook and the ghost. In the downward spiral, you're in hook mode. This is identity attachment mode. Everything sticks to you. So if a client says no, your biology literally registers it as a personal threat to your survival, and that causes an emotional collapse. But the goal here is to become the ghost. In ghost mode, you are completely transparent. External events, even a harsh rejection, are just neutral data. The friction passes right through you without sticking to your identity. The rule to remember here is strength resists, flow passes through. Section 4, the gratitude bridge, the 0 point.
And the absolute magic number for this turning point? It's 9. Level 9 on the emotional scale. Seriously, if you remember just one single thing from this entire explainer, let it be level 9.
Level 9 is gratitude. But hold on, we aren't talking about gratitude as just a nice, polite thought or a journal entry. In this biological framework, the gratitude bridge is the actual 0 point. It's the exact, literal moment your downward descent stops. It's the neutral ground that signals to your body that the survival threat is over, moving you out of the survival field and restoring your ability to actually make a conscious choice again.
So how do you actually get to this bridge? The method gives us a highly actionable somatic protocol. First, you activate the regulator archetype. That's an internal software module that essentially says, release all effort. Just stop trying to fix the problem from a state of panic. Second, you use your hardware. Inhale for 5 seconds and exhale for 8 seconds. That longer exhale hits the neural reset button, signaling safety directly to your vagus nerve. Once that biological safety is established, boom, step onto the gratitude bridge. Your agency is restored, you've stopped the crash. Section 5, the upward spiral, high performance and flow. Let's move to this and see how this builds. From the gratitude bridge, you start to climb upward. It begins gently, with contentment and hopefulness. As your biological coherence increases, you naturally move into optimism and positive expectation. Then, momentum really builds into enthusiasm and passion. Finally, you reach those peak states, joy, empowerment, and love. In these high-frequency states, execution doesn't require pushing harder at all. It is entirely effortless, intuitive, and completely natural. Your hardware is finally running the right software. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate goal, which is reaching the coherent field at the very top of the upward spiral. Up here, your heart and brain actually synchronize into a 0.1 Hz frequency. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a real measurable biological state where your nervous system projects such profound safety and authority that it literally influences the people around you. You stop doing influence and you start actually transmitting pure coherence. It's a total game changer. Section 6, becoming the operator, metacognitive mastery. The ultimate mastery of the IAM method is achieving a state of metacognition. It's activating what the method calls the great observer. Basically, you step back and monitor your own thoughts and emotions from a bird's eye view. You stop being a reactive performer desperately applying tools just to survive the day, and you become a fully regulated operator of your own biology. You're no longer trapped inside the system, reacting to every bump in the road. You are the one running it. So, the crucial point is summarized perfectly by the creator of the method, Mabel IAM. She says, authority begins the moment the nervous system settles. Let that sink in. True power, true influence, and true performance, they don't come from a loud voice or some forced aggressive mindset. They come from internal biological order. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Look at the emotional scale in your own life right now. Are you ready to stop forcing results, let go of the total exhaustion of that downward spiral, and finally start operating your own internal system? The hardware is already inside you. Right now, it's just time to upgrade the software. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.